A very warm welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. The top story we are tracking at this hour, the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat has called for a path through mutual agreement on the controversy over the filming of Gyanvapi mosque in Uttar Pradesh's Varanasi. He says, and I quote, "We had special devotion towards some places and we spoke about them, but we shouldn't bring out a new matter daily. Why should we escalate the dispute? We have devotion towards Gyanvapi and doing something as per that, it is all right. But why look for a shivling in every masjid?" He said. The RSS chief's statement diffuses weeks of comments by right-wing groups and leaders that indicated the matter could turn into a street mobilization, making some to draw parallels with the demolition of the Babri Masjid in UP's Ayodhya in 1992. My colleague Sanket has more details.
अभी ये प्रकरण निकल रहे, ज्ञानवापी का मुद्दा चल रहा है। अब ऐसे मुद्दे हैं, एक इतिहास तो है, उसको हम बदल नहीं सकते। वो इतिहास हमने नहीं बनाया, न आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वालों ने बनाया, न आज के मुसलमानों ने बनाया। उस समय घटा, ठीक है, प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए। हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है? ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे, ठीक है, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना?
This is a significant comment, but not for the first time that it has been made. If you recall that in November 2019, after the Ayodhya judgment, even at that point, the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat said कि ये जय पराजय का मुद्दा नहीं है, which means that this is not about victory or defeat, and it is not our issue to basically further the Kashi and Mathura outcry that had taken place in the 90s in the backdrop of Ayodhya. Back then, even the government seemed to be striking exactly that sort of a note, but elections we saw something very interesting happening. That Yogi Adityanath and Keshav Prasad Maurya started talking about Kashi and Mathura. Then April onwards, we have seen that Gyanvapi matter has picked up. The survey commissioners were appointed by the local court. The matter went into the court, and now we see that the same thing is happening for the Shahi Idgah Mosque in Mathura also. So in that context, this is a very important message that has been sent by the parent ideological organization of the BJP, the RSS. Its chief saying that one must not look for a shivling in every masjid. Do note that senior leaders of the BJP have not really spoken much about Kashi as well as Mathura, but we have seen the way both these cases politically played out for the past one and a half months. So in that context, very, very important statement that he has made. Of course, a lot of commentary will also happen on how much does the RSS chief's voice resonate within present-day BJP. That is also going to be very interesting.
Shifting to big story coming in at this hour. Just a short while ago, terrorists have shot dead a migrant labourer in Kashmir's Budgam, hours after killing of a bank manager in Kulgam. Another worker was injured in this attack and has been shifted to a hospital. One has already died. The Union Territory has been rattled by a string of targeted killings in the recent months. With Vijay Kumar, a manager with this particular bank, Ilaqui Dehati Bank, being shot in Kulgam district on Thursday. Kumar was a native of Rajasthan who had recently been posted in the district. Terrorists have shot dead Kumar inside the bank premises. The 8th targeted killing in the valley since the 1st of May and the 3rd of a non-Muslim government employee. Various political parties have attacked the BJP over the Kashmir situation and sought answers from local administration for the spurt in targeted killings. My colleague Nazir joins me at this point for more on this. Nazir, extremely shocking news coming in. This is just hours after a bank manager was killed, was shot dead right inside his office premises. Now 2 migrant workers have been shot at, of which you have reported saying one has already died.
Yes, one labourer, Dilkush Kumar from Bihar, has died. He was critically injured in the attack, and he was shifted to hospital where doctors declared him dead on arrival. Another laborer, he has not received bullet injuries, but during that, when he tried to flee, he has suffered some injury in the hand, and he has been shifted to hospital where he is being treated. This was the second targeted attack within 10 hours today. Early in the day, bank manager from Rajasthan was working in the Laikai Dehati Bank, which is affiliate part of the State Bank of India. He was targeted inside the bank. The gunman just barged into a bank. Target was marked, and he fired at him directly and shot him dead there inside the bank. So this is part of that series of targeted attacks on non-local, on non-Kashmiris, while locals are often becoming target, but that doesn't become news, as we know. But this series of attacks has actually created panic, chaos in the valley. Kashmiri Pandits are leaving their camps and going back to Jammu. Many had left. Many are waiting for government to give them proper security so they can go back to Jammu. It is sort of a kind of second migration for them after they try to return, though partially as part of Prime Minister's employment package since 2010. There was no problem till just last year we saw these attacks started again. So it has upset entire security structure and security scenario in the valley. And the impact is already visible. Home Minister Amit Shah held a high-level meeting in Delhi today. He's also holding an important meeting with the Lieutenant Governor, though that was scheduled earlier also, given the fact Amarnath Yatra is starting later this month. So the security situation remains a big challenge, the way militancy is actually making its impact felt in the areas which were completely free from militancy. That is a big, big worry now.
Right, Nazir. Thanks very much for joining us with those details. Hours after a bank manager was shot dead inside his office premises in Kulgam district, now news of migrant workers, non-locals being attacked, of which one has already died. But staying with news from Kashmir, after the recent spate of targeted killings in Kashmir, panic-stricken Kashmiri Pandits are already leaving Kashmir but are being stopped by police in Anantnag. The Jammu and Kashmir administration had confined Kashmiri Pandits to their transit camps after the community's members threatened mass migration in the wake of targeted killings. 2 killings in just the last 3 days. A bank manager shot dead in Kulgam on Thursday. Home Minister Amit Shah held a high-level security meet with the National Security Advisor Chief Ajit Doval and will be meeting the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor on Friday.
Walking straight into a bank and shooting the manager. The terrorist target was clearly marked. Manager of Elake Dehati Bank in Kulgam, Vijay Kumar from Rajasthan. He is the second Hindu government employee killed in the last 3 days and third in the last 3 weeks.
पीओ की एग्जाम होती हैं, वो तैयारी कर रहा था आगे ब्रांच मैनेजर बन के फिर कोई और स्टेट में या कहीं भी आने की। हमारी कोशिश तो यही कि राजस्थान में कहीं आ जाए, पर ईश्वर की जो है इच्छा वही होगा।
The fallout was quick. Kashmiri Pandits, who have been protesting for the past 3 weeks after the killing of Rahul Bhatt inside a magistrate's office, called off the protests and started leaving for Jammu. Many were stopped by the police at Anantnag. Amit Kaul, who was leading protests in Srinagar for 3 weeks, shared this picture from the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. He told NDTV that he was trying to reach Jammu.
हम लोग श्रीनगर से निकल चुके हैं, पलायन कर चुके हैं। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई लोग हैं। हम नेशनल हाईवे में अभी रामबन पहुंचे हैं और बहुत जल्दी हम लोग जम्मू पहुंच जाएंगे।
Over 4,000 Pandit migrant employees who had returned as part of the special employment package since 2010 now say enough is enough. It's time to move out of the valley.
Enough is enough. The government is completely failed in saving minority here.
On Tuesday, Pandit employees had given a 24-hour ultimatum to the government demanding their relocation and transfer to Jammu, or they would leave. The police barricaded Pandit camps and did not allow them to come out.
They should be allowed to go till the time government, creates a conducive atmosphere, takes care of the security situation on ground.
In Delhi, Home Minister Amit Shah called a high-level meeting with National Security Advisor and other senior security officials after the targeted attacks. J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has been summoned to Delhi to discuss the worsening security situation in the valley.
Clearly the targets are marked. Vijay Kumar was killed inside the bank because of who he was. The question is why situation has reached a tipping point. Kashmiri Pandits who had returned to the valley as part of Prime Minister's special employment package since 2010 are leaving. Many have already left the valley. Others are waiting in transit camps, asking government to provide them security so that they can reach Jammu safely. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
The US State Department in its annual report to the Congress on International Religious Freedom has alleged that in India in 2021, attack on members of the minority communities, including killings, assaults and intimidation, occurred all through of 2021. Released by the Secretary of State Antony Blinken at the Foggy Bottom headquarters at the State Department, the report gives its own perspective to the status and violations of religious freedoms across the globe and have separate chapters on each of the countries. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke about attacks on minorities in India throughout 2021. Listen in.
The report documents how religious freedom and the rights of religious minorities are under threat in communities around the world. For example, in India, the world's largest democracy and home to a great diversity of faiths, we've seen rising attacks on people in places of worship.
Shifting to more political news now, with the Rajya Sabha elections near, Congress has started to ferry its MLAs to resorts. The party now has to fix its maths and keep its flock together. Around 40 Rajasthan Congress MLAs and some independents left for a hotel on Thursday in Udaipur ahead of the Rajya Sabha elections on 4 seats. Wary of the possibility of cross-voting during the polling for 2 Rajya Sabha seats, the Congress has herded its Haryana MLAs to the party-ruled Chhattisgarh to protect them from poaching. The Haryana MLAs are being flown to Raipur in Chhattisgarh, and in Rajasthan, the party is moving its MLAs and ally independents to the same Udaipur resort that hosted the party's Chintan Shivir or brainstorming session last month.
Resort politics in Rajasthan and Haryana ahead of crucial Rajya Sabha elections, where the Congress now has to fix its maths and keep its flock together. The Congress's Haryana MLAs being flown to Raipur, Chhattisgarh.
के जो तमाम विधायक और सांसद हैं, उनकी एक कार्यशाला रहेगी.
In Haryana, the Congress candidate Ajay Maken faces a challenge from businessman Kartikeya Sharma, who made a last-minute entry as an independent. Ajay Maken needs 31 votes to win, but one MLA is missing, Kuldeep Bishnoi, who wasn't part of this party that left for Raipur. And it could be a very close call for Ajay Maken.
उनसे पार्टी की बात चल रही है.
In Rajasthan too, the Congress moving its MLAs and independents to Udaipur, the same resort that hosted the party's Chintan Baithak last month. The Congress candidates from Rajasthan are Randeep Singh Surjewala, Mukul Vasnik and Pramod Tiwari. But wildcard entry Subhash Chandra could upset the arithmetic. The Congress has 108 MLAs and with the support of the others was at a comfortable 126. But now the numbers are not adding up.
The number of votes required for us to send 3 candidates of our Congress party to Rajya Sabha are very clear and apparent. So we have 126 MLAs who supported the Congress government for the last 3.5 years. So there is no reason why we don't have required numbers. In fact, we have more than what's required.
But the Congress, which needs extra 15 votes to make its third candidate Pramod Tiwari win, now cannot be sure that 2 MLAs from the BTP, 2 from the CPM and 13 independents and those 6 BSP MLAs that merged with the Congress will support them. Even as the Chief Minister alleges that the CBI and the ED are being used to give notices to some of these MLAs.
वहाँ पर हमेशा इनकम टैक्स छापे और ईडी तो एक मामूली बात। वाजिद अली को और हुडला दी गए, जैसे उनको मालूम पड़ा कि ये साथ ही रहेंगे तो पता नहीं किस जमाने के केस खोल दिए इन्होंने।
But the BJP hit back, saying it was the Congress that is misusing its power.
मैं हैरान हूँ देखकर राज्यसभा के चुनाव जो चालू हो गए हैं, सत्ता का जो दुरुपयोग हो रहा है और जो हर एक एमएलए के पीछे पुलिस की गाड़ी लगा दी गई है और एमएलए का पीछा किया जा रहा है, ये पूरी तरह से सत्ता का दुरुपयोग ही है।
Congress MLAs in Raipur and Udaipur will be taught how to vote in a Rajya Sabha election. Because if the color of the ink is not correct or there is a dot or a line that's not meant to be there, the entire vote can be scrapped. In fact, MLAs have to show their votes to their party observers before it's cast. But despite such strict vigilance, this game could still go either way. With Uma Shankar Singh and Sunil Prabhu in Delhi, in Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
With more political news now, less than a fortnight after his absolutely bitter exit from Congress, Gujarat's Patidar quota warrior Hardik Patel formally joined the BJP. Although the move was a foregone conclusion, the shift was met with skepticism from within the BJP, especially from its loyal Patidar base. Old videos have surfaced now in which he stated that he will never surrender to the BJP and let the sacrifice of 14 Patidars killed in police firing during the agitation to go in vain. Take a look.
मेरी भी ये जिम्मेवारी बनती है कि प्रदेश के हित के खातिर इस बड़े से राष्ट्र सेवा के यज्ञ में मैं भी एक नरेंद्र भाई का छोटा सा सिपाही बन के काम करूं। ये सब लोग जानते हैं कि जहां मैं था वहां किसी भी प्रकार का जनहित या जनता की भावनाओं के साथ जुड़े हुए एक भी मुद्दे पर काम नहीं किया जाता था। सिस्टम से या शिस्त के बाहर जाकर कोई भी काम करना भी नहीं चाहता।
A 180-degree move by Hardik Patel as he joined Bharatiya Janata Party at its Gujarat state office, months before the upcoming assembly elections in the state. After years of criticizing the party and its leadership, Patel, who led Patidar agitation in 2015, had resigned as the working president of Congress party barely 2 weeks before joining the Saffron party. The 28-year-old was welcomed with a saffron scarf and cap by BJP Gujarat chief C.R. Patil. The discontent among the ranks of BJP became evident as no leader apart from Patil joined the induction ceremony of Hardik Patel. Hardik Patel, a once fierce critic of the BJP, as recently as December had tweeted about fighting against the dirty politics of RSS and BJP. However, after induction in BJP, when he was questioned of his allegations, Hardik Patel ducked and dodged most of the questions.
अरे पर जवाब तो आप सुनना ही नहीं चाहते, आप सवाल करके जवाब तो सुनिए। आपके पहले आपके नॉलेज के लिए जब आप सवाल करते हो आपके पास एनालिसिस होना चाहिए निर्णय भाई।
हार्दिक, आपने एक बार स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि भाजपा ने आपको 12 करोड़ का ऑफर दिया है, उसके बाद भी आप नहीं गए। मेरा ये सवाल है कि इस बार आप भाजपा में आए हैं, भाजपा ने क्या ऑफर दिया है?
मुझे राष्ट्र सेवा में एक सिपाही बनने का ऑफर दिया और मैंने वो ऑफर स्वीकार कर लिया।
और अब हार्दिक ने एक समय प्रधानमंत्री को फेंकू कहा था, अमित शाह को जनरल डायर कहा था। आज किस मंच से इन शब्दों को आप वापस ले रहे हैं?
जो आंदोलन हमारा था उस टाइम हमने जितनी आक्रामकता से लड़े थे और उसी के बाद जब 370 की कलम हटाई गई तो हमने ही कहा था कि मक्कम गृह मंत्री अमित भाई का आभार है कि भारत एक होना चाहिए। आंदोलन की परिभाषा अलग थी।
Meanwhile, the Congress party hit back at its former Gujarat working president, calling him an opportunist.
Hardik Patel once tweeted that if a traitor joins the Bharatiya Janata Party in the morning, he or she becomes a patriot by the evening. There are 2 sedition cases going on against Hardik Patel, and today he joined the Bharatiya Janata Party officially as well. Now the question that remains to be seen is that whether the same logic will apply to this young Patidar leader as well. In Gandhinagar with camera person Sushil Rathi, I'm Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
Tens of thousands of people cheered Queen Elizabeth II on Thursday as she appeared on the balcony of the Buckingham Palace on the first day of celebrations marking the British monarch's 70 years on the throne. The 96-year-old Queen's appearance at the Platinum Jubilee, a milestone never previously reached by any British monarch, had been in doubt due to illness and recent mobility problems.
Now, I'm going to, of course, go across to these wonderful ladies who've been here. There's Adele. Where's Adele? Adele's here. Hello, hi. So, from a fly past with 70 aircrafts in the air, there's party on land. There was a train line that was launched with over 1 million journeys that have already been made on the Elizabeth line. Have you travelled on it?
Yeah, I have travelled. Yeah, I come from Reading to London. So Elizabeth line is fantastic. It saves me around 15 minutes of my journey.
Okay, so it's not just purple, it's also very useful. Okay, tell me, you look like a little queen yourself. What brings you here? Why are you so connected to this entire process?
So I feel very connected to the Queen, particularly because she's done 70 years of selfless service, and we Indians are very much a part of this society today. So, and she's given us a day off to celebrate, so we had to be here. Long live the Queen and God save the Queen.
4 days of holidays, and that's something that London is welcoming. And today, about 1 hour ago, we saw a huge turnout here. Given the fly past that there was, and that was for the first time since the pandemic. Adele, what brings you here? Do you dance to Bollywood songs yourself?
I've done stick dancing before at a wedding, and I love Bollywood. Absolutely love it. I love the music. Everyone is so happy and colourful. I love colour. Yeah.
With that, it's a wrap on this bulletin.